Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video I want to take a look at key tracking and how powerful it is in Ableton, how you can make use of it in Ableton in many ways you can't in typical synthesizers. So we'll just have a listen to a couple of examples and then I'll show you, if you're interested, how you can put together a rack that works exclusively with key tracking. Okay, let's get on then and have a look at how key tracking works. Let's then quickly look at what key tracking is, how it functions, and how we can implement it on Ableton. So effectively, key tracking is a way of changing parameters as you move up the keyboard or down the keyboard. As an example, if I have this, let's get this running here. This is just simply a series of C's, C0 through to C4, and if we get this running now, I can give an example. So what key tracking does is it allows you to alter a particular element on a synthesizer across the keyboard. This might be, as an example, that the filter opens wider as you move up the keys, or to brighten the tone, or it might be the opposite. As you move up the keys, the filter closes to darken the tone. I'll give you an example here. Say we have this playing here, it's just playing C, 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 C at different octaves. And if I open up here, this is connected, and we'll come to this in a second. This is connected to the high pass frequency on Drift here. And as you can see, as the notes move up the keyboard, so the high pass filter closes. Another example would be the low pass here. If I do the same thing with the low pass, see, the low pass is closing as we go up to the point that we have no sound. If I take off the high pass, so as I say, this is a way, key tracking is a way, typically it's connected to a filter, but in Ableton you have many more possibilities because we can use this expression control. And here I have the expression control set up with 5 key tracking modulation sources, and each one connected to something different. In fact, I'm using 2 expression controls here. So I have a total on this synthesizer of 10 key tracking functions going on, affecting the different parameters on here. Let's have a look then. What do I mean by that? Well, let's open this one up again here. I can change FM across the keyboard, the level of FM. Starts off a very low level. You don't see this here, it's not displayed, but it's affecting this LFO pitch value down here. I can change the shape here of the oscillator. You'll see that one moving. I can introduce, turn that off, I can introduce noise as we move up the keyboard, greater levels of noise. I can detune the oscillators as we move up the keyboard. I could do it in the other way, I could go down the keyboard, but these are the examples I've chosen here. I can introduce some low pass filter modulation. We'll have to move the low pass a little bit. Let's just move this one as well. Let's adjust that. So I have FM affecting the filter here at the moment. Perhaps we'll have a give a better example than just noise. So, as I said in the intro, typically key tracking is used for filter opening and closing the filter as you move up and down the keyboard, but with Expression Control in Ableton you have a much greater ability to affect parameters on any synth you put in here effectively. These are just simply mapped here, and we'll come to this when we put it together, but effectively what I'm doing is I map this to a target. Here is the high pass frequency, which is here, so I've mapped it here, this to here. I set up my macros here to control this rate here. We have a rate here in here, and I'm setting up my macro. This is what we got, high pass. So if I move this, I set up my macros to control this rate, and that's it. It's all very simple stuff. And yeah, let's close this for a second. So let's give a more musical example. What I was playing in the intro, here I've got a whole series of things set up to vary the tone. Now, I'm just playing this one sequence, but by adjusting these parameters, I can change the feel of the music. Just a quick example. Because the values here, you can see them all hopping about here as we play the notes on the keyboard. This is a series of notes spread across the keyboard. Okay, let's get to how this works then. I'll show you how you can set this up for your music if you're interested, and we'll set up this rack. If you want to do that as well, you can learn. As I mentioned in the intro, this doesn't just apply to drift. You can use this on any instrument, even VSTs if you want to. But I'll just use drift to make it as accessible as possible to everybody using Ableton. The first thing we're going to need then is an instrument rack. You find the instruments, instrument rack, just drag it into a MIDI channel. I've kept my original rack here, so I have my namings. You can right click and rename them as you want. You can use mine or choose your own. We'll use all of the macros here. So we'll just drop an example of drift in here, and then we'll just do a little bit of setting up. I say this is specific to the way I've set up this rack. You can set the instruments up however you like, but what I did was I had this here set to 1:1, which effectively turns this into a ratio for FM. I also went to envelope 2 here, and I set this one, click this little button here, puts it into loop mode, and again 1:1. This turns this also into a frequency modulating LFO, which we can use. I don't think there was anything else I changed. That's pretty much it. Okay, so now we'll just drop in the MIDI effects here. MIDI effects, Expression Control. We need 2 of these, and we'll just drop them at the front of the rack here. That's the first one, and we'll put the second one in here. Actually, what we'll do is we'll delete that one. It might be better to set this one up. So we select velocity here and change it here to key track, and we go through and do that for all of them. Slide, we change them all to key track, increment, and I think we can duplicate this. Yeah, right click and duplicate, and then we've got them both set up. We don't have to do it twice. Okay, so we'll close that one for a second, and we'll just go through these. We'll start with the first one, click on the top, and we'll map this one here to the low pass frequency here. It's now mapped to that, and we will come back and do the mapping for this in a second. Oh, did that not grab? Let's try that again. There we go. Didn't grab it. Okay, so the next one we'll go on to, we will map to the resonance here. So we'll map that one to the resonance. And onto the third one here, which will map to the oscillator shape here. Fourth one, this goes to the pitch modulation amount, which is this value here. This LFO here, we've set up, this is this LFO here, which we've set up to be in an FM mode. So when we increase this percentage here, it will modulate both of the oscillators here. We keep them all unipolar so far. I don't think, there might be some that we switch, but I think most of them are unipolar. Then this one we can map to the high pass frequency here, HP. And that one we can close for a second. Go to the second one. Make sure at the top. This one we will map to the LFO ratio here, this dial. The second one we will map to the low pass modulation amount. This is this here, envelope 2. We'll map it to that. In fact, before we map it to that, we haven't clicked it, we should set this to 0 actually. Set that to 0, I should have done that in the beginning. And then we'll map that one to here. Then we have the next one here, third one, which we will map to this ratio here. And this one we can also pull down to 0.25 as well, to its lowest value. And we can also pull this one down as well. We'll pull those down to their minimum values. Okay, what else do we have then? Let's go on to the next one. This one I set to the oscillator 2 detune here, this value here, so that we can detune that. And finally, we have this one here mapped to the noise gain here, the volume level of noise. Okay, so now we'll open this one up, and we just need to do a little bit of mapping to map these controls to our rack. So we do this very simply. We take this value here and we map it to our low pass frequency control here. Now this one, gets something wrong with Ableton here. It doesn't do the mapping very smoothly. Let's try this one. This is the low pass resonance. Yeah, see, it's something wrong. So excuse me when I have to do this a couple of times. And the third one, we have the oscillator 1 shape, which is this one here. The fourth one is the pitch mod amount, which is our FM pitch here. It doesn't like it. And then finally this one here is the high pass frequency, which is here. Try that again. Okay, so they're all mapped. We can close that one now. Then we go to the top one here, the LFO ratio, and we will map this here to our FM pitch rate. The next one is our low pass mod amount 1. So we will map that one to our filter FM here. And then we have this one, the cyclic envelope, this here. This one we will map here to our FM filter rate. This is the ratio. And oscillator 2 detune. We'll map here. And then finally the noise level. Okay, so they're all mapped. Now we're coming to drift and just make some very simple mappings. Here we have oscillator 2, control the octave level here. The oscillator wave, which we map both of these here and here, and then we'll make some settings in the constraints. I'll put up a screenshot in a second. You'll see how these are set up. I've inverted one of the oscillators, so we always get a combination of waves here. Then we have the ADSR. Right, so that's everything mapped. I'll put up a screenshot now with these values in. Just punch them in and then everything should work. And then we'll come back together and test the rack afterwards. Okay, so once you've got those punched in, everything should be fine. You can see here, as I say, I inverted one of these here and set it to a triangle so that when we change the oscillator type, we'll always get, let's come out of here, we'll always get a different combination of waves here. And the rest of these are set up so that, just to make it more musical when you play with these macros, specifically with the FM here, and this one is inverted. This goes into negative because that's the low pass frequency. We want that to close. And that's really, it's quite simple. It's quite a simple rack to build. Okay, so you save the rack here with your disk icon. That will arrive then in your user library, presets, instruments, and instrument rack, and you'll find it in here, saved in here. You can make these snapshots. If you get a selection of macros that you like the setting for, you can save them here as snapshots. It wouldn't though save anything that's changed on here. So if you were to change the filter type or whatever, you'd lose that. So this is really a rack-based system. You have to use this rack and use these snapshots, and it should be okay. The next thing is you can also exclude some of these from randomization. I always use the randomization. It's a very good function. And I've excluded this one here, the FM pitch rate, and I've also excluded the A, right click to get this, D, S and R here. These are all excluded. And did I exclude that one? No. So yeah, so it's just this rate here and these controls. The reason being, the FM can make the tone sound quite terrible at times. This has to be introduced with like a small amount, and these two work together, so set them up to get a tone you like. This one I left unrandomized so that if you're looking for a specific tone like a pad or a snappier sound or a piano sound or whatever, you can set this up and then simply randomize away until you get something you like. Okay, I'll just start with the one I had, make sure everything's okay. Let's get this running. Put back on. Okay, change it. Let's go to the bass. Okay, so everything seems to be okay. Let's just let's try this. You can see it's adjusting as we play up the keyboard. Filter FM. Pitch FM. Gets quite gnarly quite quickly. Okay, as always, I hope this video has been useful to you, giving you some information perhaps you didn't know, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thank you.